People that he had the guts to get back up after being knocked down and then stood on his head.
All right, round one of what's supposed to be 10 rounds, Jerry Quarry, and most people think it won't go about 3 or 4. LeDoux with his back to your camera, right here, our camera, I should say. George Foreman, very tentative to start out with.
Well, maybe he's trying to give the people a little action tonight, maybe go a few rounds. But I doubt that very seriously. George does not like to fight any lengthy time in his fight.
Foreman is 6'3", 27 years of age. LeDoux is 27, about 6'1½". He comes forward, which might not be the way to fight George Foreman. Look at Foreman as the ballet man.
I disagree with you, really, Tom. I think the best way to fight Foreman is coming forward, but moving side to side as you're doing it, staying inside the reach and inside the punching power of George Foreman.
Foreman has a good heavy jab. It's very stiff, isn't it?
It's like a sledgehammer. So the thing to do is to move inside, stay inside that power.
His last fight, a 5-round knockout of Joe Frazier.
All right, hold it. Pick it up. Believe me, Scott LeDoux is no Joe Frazier.
Okay, Scott LeDoux is the fighting Frenchman from Minneapolis. 18 wins, 11 of those by knockouts. Misses with a while left.
I would not be surprised at all, Tom, to see Scott LeDoux hurt from that left jab of George Foreman.
It's a heavy jab, and as we said, even though both men has 78 inches in reach, Foreman is much, much larger than Scott LeDoux.
As I said, he's an awesome-looking heavyweight. He's an extremely powerful man. I worked with him in the gym, and he was the strongest man I ever worked with.
Misses with the left hook, but sort of shoves LeDoux around. Scott LeDoux will not back off, and Dwayne Bobbitt, even though he defeated him, did not knock him out, which might have surprised some people.
In fact, he never even knocked him down, Tommy. But if he stands up for 10 rounds with George Foreman, he will surprise the heck out of him.
Man threw a left hook and then tied him up. That's Tony Perez, one of the very fine officials in all of boxing from New York City.
An extremely well-refined referee. He knows his business, and he handles himself beautifully in the ring.
Watch the right hand of Scott LeDoux. I always thought he carried it a little bit low. Makes a good jab. Ooh, it lands the left hook.
I really don't think he can hurt Foreman. Foreman takes a good shot and comes back from a good shot, as he proved in the fight with Ron Lyle.
LeDoux is moving around a little bit, which looks to me like a heck of a good idea, looking at George Foreman. Round number 1 of what's supposed to be 10, Jerry. Not a laughing matter inside where they are. The ring is 20 feet inside measurements.
Right at this moment, I wouldn't want to be in his place.
LeDoux with 2 or 3 shots of a combination. Takes 2 good jabs and almost buckled his legs on the jab.
And LeDoux landed a good jab and got hit a slight hook there that shook his head a little bit.
George Foreman, you were talking to him last night. Okay, there's the end of round 1. The big man not looking with avarice at his opponent and didn't try to take him out. Okay.
I'm already surprised.
Here's some of the action. Get ready for round number 2. All right, round number 2, Foreman and LeDoux, the big French Canadian, really, from northern Minnesota. Used to fool around with some of the football players from the Vikings, but that won't help him right now, Jerry, will it?
No, he's not in there with a football player today. He's in there with one of the strongest fighters in the history of the heavyweight division.
Not sure Foreman wouldn't be a pretty good linebacker.
Well, he might compare with Dick Butkus, maybe.
What kind of a defensive fighter is George Foreman? Has anybody been able to find out?
His awesome strength is really his defense. He holds people off of them. He moves them around, and with that strength. And he's just a very capable, not maybe one of the most gifted boxers in the business, but definitely one of the most gifted strength fighters in the business.
All right, watch that stiff left jab by George Foreman at 6'3", 229. When he pops you on the end of it, the head snaps back, gets whiplash. Watch this one.
Yeah, it definitely hurts. There's no question about that. A good jab by LeDoux.
LeDoux with a good jab.
Well, it's LeDoux's tactic for him to, or at least he stated what he was going to do, was try to box around, move around, and try to last 5 rounds, see if he can tire Foreman out in the same fashion as Muhammad Ali did. But then Scott LeDoux is not Muhammad Ali, so we're talking a different ball game.
Look at that jab. That's the one we were talking about. A slight right hand against a retreating Foreman by LeDoux. But boy, that jab by Foreman is frightening.
I think that right hand got Foreman's attention, and he's kind of maybe ticked him off a little bit.
I tell you, Scott LeDoux loves to be on CBS television. It's just a heck of a way to prove a point against this man.
That's right.
All right. Take it up.
We got Foreman waving that right hand, saying like this is the one that's going to do it, but he can do it with either hand.
Round number 2. Heavyweights, and I'm talking about heavyweights. There's that jab. 223 on the left, 229 on the right. And a former champion who wants it badly and seems to have himself straightened out.
Oh, yeah. Shot missed by Foreman, but LeDoux landed a decent right hand in the middle of it. Good right hand by LeDoux.
LeDoux comes in and then ties up George Foreman. The crowd seems to be pro-LeDoux, if only because he's a fast underdog, perhaps. You never can tell.
You know, the crowd always seems to root for the underdog, and LeDoux, he came to fight. He wants to get in there and show George Foreman, I'm not afraid of you.
Foreman looking to Clancy in his corner. You know Clancy pretty well, don't you?
Well, he's one of the better boxing trainers and teachers, and he can handle himself. He knows how to teach people how to fight.
26 seconds left. A push down by George Foreman, which might show his strength if it even doesn't affect the outcome of the fight. He just pushed him down.
Tom, I really think that LeDoux said, hey, I'm not going to be intimidated by his power. If he uses it, I'm just going to go along with it. And he went on down rather than try to fight the strength.
All right, good idea. 8 seconds left. Jerry Quarry knows he's been with the greatest heavyweights in the world, missing the left hand and right hand. Foreman chased him into the neutral pole. An uppercut, and they're fighting at the bell, and LeDoux threw the last one. End of round 2. And you're right, Jerry. Scott LeDoux did not come here to roll right over.
He is not intimidated at all by Foreman.
You're looking at LeDoux. Looking at Scott LeDoux, former University of Minnesota football player who's in with, I think, biggest, toughest, hardest hitter in the heavyweight division. But he doesn't look like he's been hurt so far in 2 rounds.
Oh, not at all. He's gone out there and said, hey, Foreman, prove to me you're one of the hardest punchers. Prove to me you're the strongest man. I don't think you're that good.
I'm glad he's having it proven to him and not to me. Here's the big fella. Foreman's off it right above our camera. The man in the red with the white stripe is George Foreman. Awesome.
I am extremely surprised right now that we're going into the 3rd round, Tommy. I thought maybe Foreman wants to get a little work. Maybe he needs it.
Scott LeDoux, a pretty good hooker. Now moving inside, as you recommended, Jerry, is the safe way to fight the big man.
The only way to fight him, but don't do it straight in. Go side to side. Move him that way.
A little blood from the right nostril of George Foreman. And his uppercut looks like it would really rip you if he lands that thing straight up, huh?
The surprising thing is that it's a funny-looking uppercut. It doesn't come the way uppercuts are supposed to be thrown. It comes from a wide punching stance, and he gets there with a strong left jab by LeDoux.
And he followed it in, which, again, would be a pretty good idea, I would
The
imagine.
exact thing to do. Punch and follow your punch. Go in and get inside. The left jab bothered LeDoux there, as I said earlier.
Oh, staggered LeDoux with, I think, a missed punch on the back of the head almost did the job. Foreman was awesome.
Shots in the back of the head can be... He's hurt now.
And Foreman moves around very well for a big man, side to side.
And he's waving him in, saying, no, he didn't bother me. I can't believe that, Tom.
46 seconds left in round number 3, and Scott LeDoux is certainly a fighting Frenchman in with George Foreman. Utica, this crowd of 6,000 is going wild. They didn't expect to see this either.
Not at all.
Foreman's nose a little bloody on both sides, but he is extremely strong. Look at this.
Well, we know by reputation Scott LeDoux is a talker and says, hey, prove it to me. I'm not going to be intimidated by words and by press buttons. I'm going to be intimidated by the power of your punch, and that's all.
George Foreman is landing a lot of leather, and Scott LeDoux is holding on. You can see how much left in round 3. How much is left in Scott LeDoux? That's the big question. Good jab by Foreman. 2 good jabs by Foreman.
He still appears to me to be in complete control of his faculties.
Incredibly in control.
Maybe he will try to tire out George Foreman.
George Foreman corner, an overhand right, and Foreman now is muggy. The young man from Minneapolis, St. Paul. Right above the right hand by LeDoux.
Out of nowhere by LeDoux.
LeDoux hasn't backed off at 223, even though he's been shaken. It's round 3.
You see a little blood on the bridge of the nose of Scott LeDoux. I don't know whether it's a cut or coming from his nose or Foreman's nose.
Foreman now beginning to stalk LeDoux, but LeDoux keeps coming back and throwing a big punch just in time to drive him off. Oh, 3 big lefts, 4 big lefts. And he shakes his head at Foreman again.
LeDoux's still shaking his head. You're not hurting me. I don't believe that.
3. Many thought it would be over by now. There's 10 seconds left.
I thought it would be over by now. There's no question that LeDoux is showing he's a gutty man.
Big down there on the short right hand. LeDoux may be out.
I don't think he's going to get up.
The bell will probably save Scott LeDoux. He is cut along the left side of the face. He's trying to get up right here.
It's all over.
The bell almost saved him, but it's over at the end of round 3, and LeDoux wants some more. And Foreman looks like he's relaxing.